Hi, this is Deb Helfrich, hashtag Redheaded She-Hulk. I'm the founder of hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy. And dear Dr. Joe, this is a testimonial and a pitch to become a strategic collaborator. 2 years ago, October, November 2018, I went to the library because I'm dead broke and got the hardback of Being Supernatural. Using my brain, the principles of conscious creating through the truth that everything is frequency. I lost 150 pounds in the 15 months after turning 50. And fast forward into pandemic conditions, and I had to spend every penny I earned to stay alive. Now, free as I am, I would like to come be employed at your organization, do an apprenticeship. I like to appoint myself as the director of those who fail. I'm a philosopher, the globe's original well-being philosopher, degreed from Carnegie Mellon. I'm developing ways to teach the thinking strategies of philosophy. So I agree with you, there's no point in the way the old white men used to practice philosophy and making it all complex, although I did go a little Nietzsche. I did go a little bit into the Dionysian of improv performances, of embodiment, of joy and love, even in being traumatized in the center of current trauma that is astoundingly the very fears I've spent my life using the old model to try to avoid, while fitting into the old model is precisely what's brought me to bedrock, rock fucking bottom. But I'm evolved enough to want to share. Like, this is what I think the problem is. And I think, the way you keep referring to your testimonials and the 4-minute miles and such. But we've right now got a media conception that you have to be all pretty and all done and all past every form of raw, honest emotion. I'm broken. And the work for me is not free manifesting. I've done that pretty successfully since I was a child. The work for me is communicating truthfully and fully in my own complex linguistic way and getting somebody to help me. I've lived a life of isolation, childhood trauma of being morbidly obese for 50 years. It's a lot to unwind. And I'm looking to get on some podcasts, do some interviews, some Socratic dialogues and Socratic monologues like this one, where I'm perfectly okay for the people whose brains aren't optimized enough to follow what I'm doing. But somebody like yourself can just go, yeah, you know what? She's in the present. She's in love with everything that comes out of her monkey mind, right? This is nirvana. This is another definition. Here's a whole other set of ways as a well-being philosopher I can become the TA, the teaching assistant, to the people who aren't getting the results. Because I'm going to tell you something, Joe. I didn't have the spinal injury. Like that is like the way we think about physical constraints. But if you were bottle fed from an infant and not touched, and you became morbidly obese through your first year of life, everything about my development was in this body that didn't work, which created the cycle of becoming ever larger. And I went to the IONS conference, the 50th anniversary of IONS. It was nothing like what I'm getting from your events. I went there to offer, to meet people, to connect. Nobody hugged me. 2 people, actually. And it's because I went to them. And you must admit, something must be right in my energy, because I got a hug from Bruce Lipton and Eileen Day McCusick. This is the tuning fork modality. Medical, musical tools we can use to teach people to practice everything is frequency. But the reason I went to IONS, and the reason perhaps nobody could grok me, all of the psychic stuff, right? You and I both know this. It's not extraordinary. It's not even extrasensory, really. But there are neurons that get pruned based on what's going on in the environment, the 70s childhood. I didn't need all these things, but what I needed, and what I've never seen reflected in the external environment such that I feel like a pioneer, but I have ESP, homeodynamic balance. My conversations with my own body about losing 150 pounds after turning 50. There's so much IP. There's so much embodied genius. And again, I do my hand signals and I move around and I sit on a yoga ball so I can bounce, so I can fully express that even in my darkest days, I play. And I play knowing that my situation is pretty damn serious. And so I play doing job auditions. You can see how successful that is. I failed spectacularly. Of course, I didn't. When my biographers of the documentary, we can also co-create, co-collaborate on, for the good of your audience, your tribe, for the purposes of interspersing my stories and what I accomplished from just the book, because I'm too poor to come and have community. And that it is this missing of community, which is this whole thing that once you become a certain level of financially free, you lack the ability to find other free humans. You get into the paycheck servitude mindset, and you simply can't bust out of it in this society. So there's two things that I think for the people who don't have the miracles. One is that there is an embodiment. Your body has to be able to handle the amplitude. So I hear you passing out. I've never passed out. With my extra-sized biofield, my capacity to, and the way I've lived, which has been hibernating to stay healthy. You would think my addiction is food. I got to 333 pounds, but my addiction was actually sleeping. How I balanced all that out and never had metabolic disease, right? Which is why I can be so vibrantly alive at 50 after losing so much weight. Because there are testimonials in the world of how 2 weeks after I woke up, days after my 50th birthday, going, I'm gonna get to experience what it feels like to be lean. And I've made that happen. I've had the same embodiment of I'm gonna get to be a well-being philosopher. I'm gonna get to share all this stuff. And the first obstacle is making sure that you've got the complete biofield, neuronal, physical capacity. No real serious trigger points obscuring your bioelectrical flow when you go into, I mean, you know, going into the higher amplitude of gamma brainwaves needs an optimized body. So being that I have this gift for homeodynamic balance, Carolyn Mees, I don't know how she does her medical intuitiveness. I've really not heard her describe how she does it, but how I do it is embodied empathy. Like how I learned to survive in that 3 times larger than it should have been body was trusting the body, having a constant dialogue, and using sleep to trust my body to heal all of it, to keep me at a place where even with all of this societally challenging insulation, I went within to my own innate intelligence and thrived until the money. Now, as I've tried to port demonstrating, being involved, I can't go back into the old. And there's videos, Joe. You can go see the sides of me on YouTube. Just a couple. You can see the heaviness of me. I was just locked the fuck in. All right. This is a performance. I call it hashtag redheaded She-Hulk. So, the iceberg of me, the tip of the iceberg is hashtag redheaded She-Hulk. I'm looking to get a job, do some work with your organization, become the director of failures, becoming successes. Go into the people, do the detailed deep dive work to understand if the person has a body block, that we can use my knowledge of fascia and embodiment practices, ecstatic trance dancing and tuning forks to get beyond. And some people are going to be experiencing environmental, societal, don't be evolved messages. We just need the tribe coming back. We just need those people, if they are going back to a completely impoverished environment of unconsciousness, right? It's not about money. This is about the consciousness quotient of the person's environment. If it's not to a certain basic level, they're not going to be able, and this is, again, my near environment. I'm a Whidbey. I live on Whidbey Island, so I'll just come. Any guest room, I'll be part of your organization. I will fill any need, and I will grow with your community. But I'm also part of what's hard here is our society's built well, if you only get to have one career and and your lowest common denominator. For somebody who's visionary like me, it's not just shut down and ignored, but even then when people hear me, like they get offended at the grandness of my vision. Your job as the titular visionary is to go out and get the 80%. And this is evolutionary logic. This is a bit from my official philosophy strategies on how to optimize human potential. That's what well-being philosophy is. It's clear, anti-racist, life-centric thinking about human potential, which I want to make a necessary global public good. We're not going to get anywhere fixing broken silo after broken silo after broken silo of inhumane punishment and judgment-based thinking. You can't come at that one by one. We have to raise the life-centric thinking quotient of every single one of the 7.8 billion humans. So what I need is to immediately become safe and secure, have a little bit of community, find myself contributing every day. I'm going to just supernova. And then I want to attract the money to be unbought, unbossed, and unbroken as I go and focus on empowering Africa. I'm just interested. I want to get back to the more ancestral ways. I want to be able to take the bleeding edge of, okay, we can indeed, hook electrodes up to our brain and understand, beta, alpha, theta, gamma. Joe, is from seeing the color plates in the book, I learned how to experience creating my own gamma waves. I can get into trance in conversation. Conversations make me high. That's how few I've had. This is virgin territory where when I've learned how to do all this and see part of it, co-trancing, it's getting free into consciousness. It's a radical healing modality. And it's all about the human potential of our ancestral legacy. Peace, love, and harmony. DebHalfrich at Gmail. Let's set up a Zoom.